Welcome to the Awareness Project. Today, let's talk about race and colleges in the US. Recently, it seems the media has been flooded with stories of racial tensions in colleges throughout the country. From UCLA to Ithaca, from Yale to University of Missouri, this land is filled with racial strife. But let's focus on one campus for a moment, University of Missouri. A predominantly white university, it has a history of racial tensions. Hear that? History. In other words, what's happening now isn't anything new. The outrage from students is a reaction to decades of systemic oppression. What sparked the outrage recently was a student at the back of a pickup truck screaming racial epithets at the president of the student government, Peyton Head. Peyton's Facebook post about taking a stand in unity was shared over 2,000 times, but racially fueled events continued to occur. Concerned Student 1950 responded by releasing a set of demands on October 20th. Concerned Student 1950 was named after the first year African Americans were admitted to the university. Concerned Student 1950 thus represents every black student admitted to the University of Missouri since then, and their sentiments regarding race-related affairs affecting their lives at a predominantly white institution. Not only do our white peers sit in silence in the face of our oppression, but also our administrations who perpetuate that oppression through inaction. They asked for a response by October 28, 2015, 5 p.m. Their demands included Tim Wolf, president of the University of Missouri, apologizing to Concerned Student 1950. They wanted him to acknowledge his white male privilege, recognize that systems of oppression exist, and provide verbal commitment to fulfilling Concerned Student 1950 demands, and to admit his gross negligence allowing his driver to hit one of the demonstrators, and consenting to the physical violence of bystanders, and lastly, refusing to intervene when Columbia Police Department used excessive force with demonstrators. They also asked for the removal of Tim Wolf as president and to increase black faculty to 10% by the 2017 to 2018 academic year. As the administration seemed not to be taking any sufficient action, the students of Mizzou decided to act. A member of Concerned Student 1950, Jonathan Butler, went on a hunger strike on November 3rd. He vowed he would not eat until Wolf stepped down. Soon later, the football team decided to boycott their game and not play against Brigham Young University. Why is this a big deal? This could have potentially cost the university $1 million. On November 9th, 2015, Tim Wolf resigned from his position, right on time for the game. In his resignation speech, he said, "I take full responsibility for this frustration. I take full responsibility for the inaction that has occurred." He did not address the demands of Concerned Student 1950, however. Richard Brown Lofton also announced on Monday that he would be stepping down from his position as chancellor. But why did the president and chancellor have to give up their positions? Was this a bit extreme? In an article in the New York Times, Don Walsworth, a donor to the university, said, "There are 3 things in a crisis management that you have to do. Be abundantly honest, you have to work quickly, and you have to control the message." Both Lofton and Wolf failed to do any of this. It's not that they didn't do anything at all, it's that they failed to take the matter seriously and take active action to stop oppression. On October 8th, Lofton said in 2016 students and faculty would undergo inclusion training. On October 26th, Wolf met with Concerned Student 1950 but did not agree to meet their demands. On November 6th, Tim Wolf apologized to Concerned Student 1950 and acknowledged that racism was a systemic problem at the university. But when asked what systemic oppression was, he failed to give a sufficient answer. He said, "Systemic oppression is because you do not believe you have equal opportunity for success." How can a leader protect you from a danger they aren't aware of or don't understand? Tim Wolf and Richard Bowen Lofton failed to do their jobs and lost their jobs. Sounds pretty reasonable to me. Well, what's happening at the university right now? Disappointedly, violent threats directed to black students have been made on social media. 2 people have been arrested in connection to the posts. Hunter M. Park, and Connor Stallmeyer, neither of whom are actually students at the university, both of whom are age 19 and white males. If what's going on isn't a big deal, why are lives being threatened? Let's go back to looking at the broader picture again. Universities across the US are fighting their own similar battles. This generation of college students are showing that they will not stand for the systemic discrimination that has been prevalent in college campuses for decades. But some believe that these students are overreacting. If you think this is overreacting, do I need to remind you? Or maybe that's not a fair argument. Well, if you think students of color are overreacting right now, you might need to check your privilege. Just because you don't feel oppressed does not mean others are not oppressed. Let's play pretend for a minute. Imagine being a black college student who has become the student government president. One day, a student yells a derogatory term at you. When someone uses this term, what's going on in their mind? They're reducing the person they're directing their hate to a hateful version of the black race. Using that word is like a gateway drug to blackface and apparently death threats to black students. This isn't anything new to you, however. It's a common occurrence at your university. You don't feel welcome. Now, imagine being called this derogatory term and then your pain not even being acknowledged by the administration that is meant to protect you. Do you still think that students fighting oppression are overreacting? To the students of color at Mizzou, I, the Awareness Project, students of color and allies of a generation that will not stop until sufficient change is enacted, stand with you in solidarity. To those of you who would harm students of color at Mizzou or threaten their sense of safety, we are watching. The Awareness Project is a growing channel that will cover current events and issues on a weekly basis. If you want updates on what Congress is deciding on and other governmental issues and events, then subscribe to the Awareness Project.